Document. Part 5. The broadcast of the evidence sent shockwaves across Earth and beyond. For the first time, humanity saw the Veilith not as benevolent benefactors, but as desperate manipulators willing to exploit others for survival. The images of the dying alien planet, combined with the undeniable connection between the mineral shard and the Veilith technology, painted a clear picture. The so-called immortal species was anything but invincible. Public outrage spread like wildfire, fueled by social media and news outlets that amplified the message. Protesters filled the streets in every major city, holding signs that read "No to alien exploitation" and "Protect our planet." Inside the Aurora, Ethan Carter leaned against the wall of the communications deck, watching the live feeds from Earth on multiple screens. His heart swelled with pride at the sight of people uniting against a common threat. Humanity wasn't backing down, it was stepping up. Beside him, Mia Lopez sat quietly, her hands clasped tightly together. Despite their success in exposing the truth, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. "They're angry," Mia said softly, breaking the silence. "But anger won't stop the Veilith. They'll fight back." Nodded grimly. "You're right, this isn't over. If anything, it's just starting." Commander Lucas Drake entered the room, his expression grave. "The Veilith have already made contact with several world leaders. They're denying the allegations and accusing us of fabricating the evidence." "Of course they are," Ethan muttered under his breath. "They can't admit the truth." Drake sighed deeply. "Fortunately, some leaders are buying their story. Without concrete action, public support might waver." Sarah Bennett, who had been monitoring incoming messages from Earth, turned to face the group. "We need to do more than just expose them. We need to show everyone that we're ready to stand our ground." Ethan straightened up, his mind racing. "What if we strike first? Hit them where it hurts their resources?" Mia looked at him sharply. "You mean attack their operations?" "Yes," Ethan replied firmly. "If we sabotage their mining efforts, we can slow them down and buy ourselves time to rally global forces." Drake crossed his arms, considering the idea. "It's risky. If we fail, the Veilith will retaliate. They'll make an example of us. But if we succeed," Sarah interjected, "we prove to the world that humanity isn't powerless. It could inspire even more resistance." A long pause. Drake finally nodded. "All right, but we'll need a plan, and fast. The Veilith aren't going to wait around while we debate strategy." Later that evening, the team gathered in the briefing room to finalize their approach. Using data collected from the artifact and the mineral shard, they identified key locations where the Veilith were likely extracting resources. One site stood out, a massive underwater facility located near Earth's deepest ocean trench. According to scans, the facility housed advanced machinery designed to harvest rare minerals directly from the seabed. "This is it," Ethan said, pointing to the holographic map projected above the table. "If we disable this operation, we cut off one of their main supply lines." Mia frowned. "But how do we get close enough without being detected? Their security systems are far superior to ours." "That's where Ryan Kelly comes in," Drake said, gesturing to the young engineer who had joined the meeting. Since the start of the mission, Ryan had been working tirelessly on experimental weapons and defensive technologies. He stepped forward, holding up a small device resembling a handheld scanner. "I've been developing something called an EMP disruptor," Ryan explained. "It's designed to temporarily disable electronic systems within a specific radius. If we use it on their equipment, we can shut everything down long enough to destroy the facility." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Will it work against Veilith tech?" Ryan hesitated before answering. "I think so. Their systems rely heavily on energy fields, which should be vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses, but I haven't tested it yet." "We don't have time for tests," Drake said bluntly. "We move forward with what we have." With the plan set, the team prepared for the mission. Ethan, Mia, and Sarah volunteered to lead the infiltration team, accompanied by Ryan and a small squad of security personnel. As they suited up, tensions ran high. Everyone knew the stakes if they failed. The consequences would be catastrophic. The shuttle descended into the ocean depths. its reinforced hull groaning under the immense pressure. Outside, the water was pitch black, illuminated only by the faint glow of bioluminescent creatures. The facility loomed ahead, a sprawling complex of metallic structures embedded in the seafloor. Searchlights scanned the surrounding area, and automated drones patrolled the perimeter. "This is it," Ethan whispered into his helmet mic. "Stay sharp." The team disembarked from the shuttle, moving cautiously toward the facility. Ryan carried the EMP disruptor, his hands trembling slightly, despite his best efforts to stay calm. As they approached the entrance, Ethan signaled for everyone to take cover behind a cluster of rocks. "Activate the disruptor now," he ordered. Ryan nodded, flipping the switch on the device. A low hum emanated from it, growing louder as it charged. Seconds later, a pulse of energy radiated outward, enveloping the facility in a blinding flash. The lights flickered and died, plunging the area into darkness. Drones dropped from the sky, deactivated mid-flight, and the heavy doors of the facility slid open, unguarded. "Move," Ethan shouted, leading the charge inside. The interior of the facility was a maze of corridors and chambers filled with humming machinery. Workers, both human and Veilith, scrambled in confusion as alarms blared throughout the structure. Teams split up, planting explosives at critical junctions to ensure maximum damage. Mia worked quickly, disabling control panels to prevent the systems from revelant as they reached the central chamber. Ethan spotted a massive drill extracting minerals from the seabed. It was the heart of the operation, and destroying it would cripple the entire facility. He motioned for Ryan to plant the final explosive charge while the rest of the team provided cover. Suddenly, a group of Veilith warriors appeared, their translucent forms glowing faintly in the dim light. They moved with terrifying speed, launching energy blasts that forced the team to scatter. Ethan ducked behind a console, returning fire with a handheld laser weapon. Beside him, Sarah took aim at one of the warriors, striking it squarely in the chest. The creature staggered, but didn't fall, its resilience proving formidable. "We can't hold them off forever," Mia yelled over the chaos. "Ryan, hurry!" Ryan fumbled with the explosive, his hands shaking. Finally, he secured it in place and activated the timer. "It's done. Let's go." The team retreated as fast as they could, dodging blasts and leaping over fallen debris. Behind them, the countdown ticked away. When they reached the exit, Ethan glanced back one last time, ensuring no one was left behind. Then, with a deafening roar, the facility erupted in a fiery explosion, sending shockwaves rippling through the water back aboard the shuttle. The team collapsed into their seats, breathing heavily. Through the viewport, they watched as the wreckage sank deeper into the abyss, consumed by the unforgiving ocean. For the first time in days, a sense of relief washed over them. "We did it," Sarah said, her voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. "For now, yes. Oh, but the Veilith won't let this slide." "This was just the first step," Mia nodded solemnly. "And there will be many more steps after this. Humanity has shown it's willing to fight, but the real battle is still ahead." As the shuttle ascended toward the surface, the team braced themselves for what was to come. Blow against the Veilith, but the war was far from over. Back on Earth, the world watched and waited, united in defiance, but uncertain of the future. The stage was set for humanity to rise or fall in the face of an unprecedented challenge. Asterisk, asterisk, end. Of Part 5 document, asterisk, asterisk. Document. Part 1, the year was 2247. And humanity had reached a point in its history that once seemed like nothing more than a distant dream. Space exploration, once the realm of science fiction novels and speculative movies, had become a reality. Humans had colonized several planets and nearby star systems, built sprawling space stations, and even established trade routes between Earth and its farthest outposts. It was an era of progress, innovation, and hope. But it was also an era of uncertainty, as the vastness of the universe reminded humanity how small and fragile it truly was. On a quiet morning in late autumn, something extraordinary happened. An object appeared in Earth's orbit without warning, It wasn't a meteor or a rogue satellite, it was something far more mysterious. The object was enormous, easily dwarfing the largest human-made spacecraft. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly glow, pulsating faintly in hues of blue and silver. Scientists around the world scrambled to analyze it, but their instruments couldn't penetrate its strange material. Whatever this thing was, it defied all known laws of physics. News of the anomaly spread like wildfire, within hours every news outlet on Earth was broadcasting live coverage of the event. Social media platforms lit up with theories ranging from alien invasions to divine intervention. Governments held emergency meetings, debating whether the object posed a threat or if it was simply a cosmic curiosity. Amid the chaos, one name kept coming up: Ethan Carter. Ethan was an astrophysicist working at the Global Space Research Institute in New York City. He wasn't famous by any means, but his reputation for solving complex problems had earned him respect among his peers. Known for his calm demeanor and sharp intellect, Ethan had spent most of his career studying anomalies in deep space. The call came in asking him to join the investigation team. He didn't hesitate. This was the kind of mystery he lived for. At the same time, another expert was being summoned to help unravel the enigma. Her name was Mia Lopez, a linguist specializing in decoding unknown languages. Born and raised in Los Angeles, Mia had always been fascinated by communication, the way people expressed themselves, shared ideas, and bridged gaps between cultures. Over the years, she had worked on projects involving ancient scripts, animal vocalizations, and even attempts to interpret signals from distant stars. Like Ethan, she saw this assignment as both a challenge and an opportunity. The two were brought together aboard the Starship Aurora, a state-of-the-art vessel designed for long-range missions. The ship was sleek and modern, equipped with cutting-edge technology and staffed by some of the brightest minds in various fields. Leading the mission was Commander Lucas Drake, a seasoned officer with decades of experience in space operations. Under his command were scientists, engineers, and military personnel, all handpicked for their expertise. As the Aurora approached the mysterious object, tension filled the air. Everyone on board knew they were about to make contact with something or someone completely unfamiliar. The closer they got, the more details emerged. The object wasn't just a random chunk of metal floating in space. It was clearly artificial. Its design suggested intelligence, purpose, and intent. Panels along its surface shifted subtly, almost as if it were alive. Lights flickered in patterns that seemed deliberate, though no one could decipher their meaning. Yet Ethan stood in the observation deck, staring at the massive structure through the reinforced glass. His mind raced with possibilities. Was this a probe sent by an advanced civilization, a relic from an ancient empire long gone? Or perhaps something else entirely? Beside him, Mia adjusted her glasses nervously. She had prepared herself for this moment. But nothing could fully prepare her for the weight of what they were about to do. "Do you think it's watching us?" Mia asked softly, breaking the silence. Ethan glanced at her before returning his gaze to the object. "It's hard to say," he replied. "But if it is, I hope we're making a good first impression." Moments later, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Attention, crew," Commander Drake's voice boomed. "We're initiating approach protocol. Prepare for potential contact." The Aurora moved cautiously toward the artifact, its engines humming quietly. Sensors scanned every inch of the surface, collecting data at an unprecedented rate. Suddenly, a bright flash illuminated the darkness of space. The object emitted a pulse of energy that enveloped the ship, causing alarms to blare throughout the vessel. For a brief moment, panic set in as everyone braced for the worst. But then, something incredible happened. A holographic image materialized in the center of the command deck. It depicted a tall, translucent figure with elongated limbs and glowing eyes. Its presence radiated authority, and its voice, though not audible in the traditional sense, resonated directly in the minds of everyone present. "Greetings, inhabitants of this world," the figure said. "We are the Valeth. We have come seeking knowledge and resources. Do you wish to communicate?" The room fell silent. No one dared to speak. Finally, Commander Drake stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "We are humans," he began. "And yes, we wish to communicate." Thus began humanity's first official contact with an alien species. The Valeth introduced themselves as an immortal race, claiming to have existed for millennia. They spoke of their travels across galaxies, their mastery over technology, and their disdain for mortal beings who live such fleeting lives. To them, humans were little more than children playing with fire, curious but ultimately insignificant. Ethan listened intently, analyzing every word. Something about the Valeth's tone struck him as off. Their arrogance felt forced, almost rehearsed, and there was something else, a subtle hesitation whenever they mentioned their immortality. It was as if they were trying too hard to convince others of their superiority. Mia noticed it too. As the conversation continued, she studied the hologram, closely searching for clues hidden within its movements and expressions. Unlike spoken language, body language, or in this case, holographic behavior could reveal truths words might conceal. What she found troubled her. The Valeth's gestures were rigid, almost mechanical, lacking the fluidity one would expect from a truly advanced species. When the meeting ended, the crew gathered in the briefing room to discuss their findings. Opinions varied widely. Some believed the Valeth were genuine in their intentions, offering humanity a chance to leapfrog centuries of technological development. Others, like Ethan and Mia, remained skeptical. They argued that the Valeth's claims needed to be verified. Before any decisions were made, Commander Drake listened carefully to both sides before issuing his verdict. "For now, we proceed cautiously," he said. "We'll gather more information and assess the situation. But remember, we're representing all of humanity here. Let's not jump to conclusions based on gut feelings alone." As the meeting adjourned, Ethan pulled Mia aside. "There's something we're missing," he said quietly. "Something big. I can feel it." Mia nodded. "I agree. But whatever it is, we won't find it by staying on this ship. We need to get closer to them." Little did they know, their instincts were spot on. The Valeth weren't what they appeared to be, and the answers they sought would lead them down a path far more dangerous and transformative than anyone could have imagined. End of Part 1 document. Document Part 2. The days following the first contact with the Valeth were a whirlwind of activity aboard the Aurora. The crew worked tirelessly, analyzing every piece of data they had gathered from the mysterious artifact and its creators. Ethan Carter spent most of his time in the science lab, poring over readings and running simulations. His sharp eyes scanned graphs and charts, searching for patterns or anomalies that might reveal more about the Valeth's true nature. Beside him, Mia Lopez focused on deciphering the strange energy pulses emitted by the artifact. Though she wasn't an astrophysicist, her expertise in language gave her a unique perspective on how the Valeth communicated, not just through words, but through light, sound, and even vibrations. Despite their efforts, progress was slow. Valeth seemed to operate on principles far beyond human understanding. Their technology didn't follow the rules of physics as humanity knew them, and their behavior remained inscrutable. Every interaction left Ethan and Mia with more questions than answers. Why had the Valeth come to Earth? What did they truly want? And why did they seem so eager to emphasize their immortality? Commander Lucas Drake called another meeting to discuss the situation. The briefing room buzzed with tension as the crew filed in, each person carrying their own theories and concerns. Drake stood at the head of the table, his expression stern but calm. "We've made some headway," he began, "but we're still missing key pieces of the puzzle. Let's go over what we know." Ethan was the first to speak. He summarized his findings, explaining how the artifact appeared to be a gateway, a portal capable of transporting matter across vast distances. "It's not just a random object floating in space," he said. "It's designed to connect places, maybe even civilizations. The Valeth likely use it to travel between star systems." Mia nodded in agreement. "And based on the energy patterns I've analyzed, it seems like they're trying to send us messages, subtle ones embedded in those pulses. It's almost like they're testing us, seeing how much we can understand." This revelation sparked a heated debate among the team. Some believed the Valeth's actions were benign, perhaps even benevolent. Others, including Ethan and Mia, argued that their intentions were far less clear. "They're too confident," Ethan pointed out, "too eager to remind us how superior they are. That kind of arrogance usually hides something." Drake raised a hand to quiet the room. "Speculation won't get us anywhere," he said firmly. "What we need is evidence. Until we have concrete proof of their motives, we proceed cautiously." As the meeting concluded, Ethan and Mia decided to dig deeper. They requested permission to return to the artifact for a closer inspection. Drake hesitated, but eventually agreed, assigning a small team to accompany them. Among the group was Sarah Bennett, a marine biologist who had joined the mission to study extraterrestrial ecosystems. Though her expertise seemed unrelated to the current situation, her analytical skills proved invaluable. The shuttle ride to the artifact was tense. Everyone wore suits equipped with life support systems, just in case the environment around the object proved hostile. As they approached, the shimmering surface of the artifact loomed larger, its pulsating glow casting eerie shadows inside the shuttle. Ethan felt a mix of excitement and unease. This was uncharted territory, both literally and figuratively. Once they docked, the team stepped onto the artifact's surface. It felt solid beneath their boots, though faint vibrations suggested it was alive in some way. Ethan immediately set up scanning equipment while Mia examined the glowing panels up close. Sarah wandered slightly ahead, her curiosity getting the better of her. She knelt to inspect a section of the surface that seemed different from the rest, darker, almost scorched. "Hey, take a look at this," she called out, waving the others over. When Ethan and Mia joined her, they noticed intricate carvings etched into the material. Unlike the smooth, featureless expanse of the rest of the artifact, this section was covered in symbols that resembled writing. "This could be important," Mia said, pulling out her handheld scanner. She ran it over the markings, capturing images and translating them as best she could. The process took time, but eventually fragments of meaning began to emerge. The symbols spoke of journeys, cycles, and renewal, but also of loss and decay. Ethan frowned. Decay? That doesn't fit with their whole immortal image. "It's possible these are older inscriptions," Mia suggested. "Maybe remnants of a time before they achieved immortality." Sarah chimed in, pointing to another part of the carving. "Look here. These lines branch off like roots or veins. Could they represent a network?" Her observation sparked an idea in Ethan's mind. If this thing is a gateway, maybe it's connected to a larger systemal web of portals spanning multiple locations. And if that's true, then the Valeth aren't just travelers or controllers, maintaining this network for their own purposes. The implications were staggering. If the Valeth controlled such a vast infrastructure, their power would be nearly limitless. But why would they share it with humanity? What did they stand to gain? Before they could ponder further, the artifact suddenly hummed with increased intensity. The glowing panels brightened, and the air around them crackled with energy. Alarms blared inside the shuttle, signaling an imminent surge. "We need to leave now," Ethan shouted. The team scrambled back to the shuttle just as the artifact emitted another pulse of energy. This one was stronger than before, shaking the vessel violently. Once safely aboard, they watched in awe as the artifact's surface rippled like liquid, forming a swirling vortex at its center. A voice echoed in their minds once again, the same voice from their initial encounter. "You have shown curiosity and intelligence," the Valeth said. "Come, see what lies beyond." Without waiting for a response, the vortex expanded, pulling the shuttle toward it. Despite their best efforts to resist, the crew found themselves powerless against its force. In seconds, they were engulfed by light and sound, tumbling through what felt like an endless void. When the turbulence subsided, the shuttle emerged on the other side of the portal. The view outside was breathtaking. They floated above a planet unlike anything they had ever seen. Its surface shimmered with iridescent colors, shifting constantly as if alive. Strange structures jutted out from the landscape, towering spires made of the same translucent material as the artifact. In the distance, ships resembling the Valeth moved gracefully through the sky. Ethan stared in disbelief. Is this their homeworld? Mia shook her head. I don't think so. Look at those buildings, they're crumbling. Whatever this place is, it's been abandoned for a long time. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes wide with wonder. But why bring us here? What do they want us to see? Her questions went unanswered. For now. As the shuttle descended toward the planet's surface, the team prepared for whatever awaited them. They knew they were stepping into the unknown, venturing deeper into the mystery of the Valeth. But one thing was certain. The answers they sought lay somewhere on this strange, haunting world. End of Part 2. Document. Document. Part 3. The shuttle touched down on the alien planet with a soft thud, kicking up clouds of shimmering dust that sparkled like crushed gemstones. The air outside was thick and heavy, carrying an eerie stillness that made everyone uneasy. Ethan Carter adjusted his helmet, checking the readings on his suit's display. Atmosphere is breathable, he said, but we should keep our suits sealed just in case. Mia Lopez nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. The landscape stretched endlessly before them, dotted with towering spires that seemed to hum faintly, as though alive. The colors of the ground shifted. Unpredictably, blues melted into greens. Purples faded into golds, if the planet itself was alive and breathing. It was beautiful, but there was something unsettling about it, too. Something unnatural. Sarah. Bennett stepped out of the shuttle first, her boots sinking slightly into the soft metallic surface. She knelt to examine the ground more closely. This isn't rock or soil, she said, running her gloved fingers over the material. It's organic. Or at least, it behaves like it. Ethan joined her, crouching beside her to get a better look. You're right. It's almost like the entire planet is one living organism. He tapped a small device against the surface, sending vibrations through the material. The ground rippled in response, glowing faintly where he touched it. Whatever this place is, it reacts to stimuli. Mia stood back, watching the others work. Her gaze drifted toward the nearest spire, its translucent surface shimmering with light. There was something familiar about it, though she couldn't quite place why. She walked closer, her footsteps muffled by the strange terrain. As she approached, she noticed faint carvings etched into the base of the structure symbols, similar to those they had seen on the artifact. Guys, come look at this, Mia called out, her voice tinged with urgency. Ethan and Sarah hurried over, their helmets bobbing as they moved. When they saw the markings, Ethan's brow furrowed. These are the same symbols we found earlier, he said. But they're more detailed here. But we can learn more from these. Mia pulled out her scanner again, running it over the carvings. The device beeped softly as it processed the data. After a moment, fragments of meaning began to appear. On the screen, the symbols described cycles of growth and decay, renewal and destruction. But there was another theme woven throughout, a warning. It's talking about balance, Mia explained. It's about how everything must follow a natural order. If the cycle is disrupted, chaos will follow. Sarah frowned. That sounds ominous. Do you think this has something to do with the Valeth? It's possible, Ethan replied. If these structures were built by the Valethor, even their ancestors, it could explain why they brought us here. Maybe they want us to see what happens when things go wrong. As they continued exploring, the team discovered more spires scattered across the landscape. Each one bore similar carvings, though some were worn down, almost erased by time. Further they ventured, the clearer it became that this world had once been thriving, but was now in decline. Plants that looked like crystalline trees stood frozen mid-growth, their branches brittle and lifeless. Rivers of liquid metal flowed, sluggishly, their surfaces dull and tarnished. This place feels haunted, Sarah murmured, her voice barely audible over the coms. Like it's morning, Ethan didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stopped in front of a particularly large spire, its top reaching high into the sky. Unlike the others, this one seemed intact, its surface glowing brightly. In its center, a circular opening pulsed with light, inviting them closer. Let's check it out, Ethan said, leading the way. The entrance widened as they approached, revealing a dimly lit chamber inside. The walls were covered in the same glowing symbols, creating intricate patterns that shifted and changed as they moved. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, atop which rested a small, orb-like object. "What is that?" Mia asked, stepping forward cautiously. "I don't know," Ethan replied, "but it looks important." He reached out to touch the orb, but before his fingers could make contact, a loud humming filled the chamber. The symbols on the walls flared to life, bathing the room in blinding light. When the brightness faded, the team found themselves no longer alone. A figure materialized before them of Aelith, taller and more imposing than any they had encountered. Before its translucent form shimmered with an inner light, and its eyes glowed with an intensity that made it hard to look directly at it. "You have entered the Hall of Remembrance," Avalith said, its voice resonating in their minds. "Here lies the truth of our kind." Ethan took a step back, instinctively raising his hands. "We didn't mean to intrude. We're just trying to understand." The Valeth tilted its head, studying them with an expression that might have been curiosity or disdain. "Understanding is not given freely," it said. "It must be earned. Look around you. See what we have lost." The team turned their attention to the walls, where images began to form. Scenes played out like moving paintings, depicting the rise and fall of the Valeth civilization. They saw cities built from the same shimmering material as the spires, bustling with activity. They saw ships traveling between stars, exploring distant worlds. And then, slowly, the images shifted. The vibrant colors dimmed, the cities crumbled, and the people grew gaunt and weary. They exhausted their resources, Mia whispered, her voice trembling. They destroyed their own world. The Valeth nodded solemnly. "Our immortality came at a cost. To sustain ourselves, we required minerals found only in rare ecosystems. We consumed without restraint, believing ourselves above the laws of nature. Now we wander the stars, seeking new sources to prolong our existence." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "So that's why you came to Earth. You want our resources?" The Valeth's gaze hardened. "Your planet is rich with what we need. Will you deny us? Will you condemn us to death?" Before anyone could respond, alarms blared inside their helmets. The shuttle systems were detecting a sudden surge of energy emanating from the spire. "We need to leave," Ethan shouted. Grabbing Mia's arm, Sarah was already running back toward the entrance, her movements frantic. The Valeth watched them go, its expression unreadable. "Remember what you have seen," it said as the team disappeared into the fading light. "And decide wisely." Back aboard the shuttle, the crew struggled to process what they had witnessed. The revelation about the Valeth's true nature weighed heavily on all of them. They weren't gods or saviors, they were desperate survivors, clinging to life by exploiting others. "We can't let them take what they want from Earth," Mia said firmly. "If we do, we'll be condemning ourselves to the same fate." Ethan nodded, his jaw clenched. "We need to warn humanity. But how?" "The Valeth have already made promises to world leaders. They've shown us their technology, dazzled us with possibilities. Most people won't believe us unless we have proof." Sarah leaned forward, her face pale but determined. "Then we find proof. Whatever it takes, we expose the truth." The shuttle lifted off, leaving the dying planet behind. As they re-entered the swirling vortex of the artifact, the team knew their mission had changed. No longer were they simply explorers or diplomats. They were defenders, tasked with protecting their species from a threat far greater than anyone had imagined. End of Part 3 document. Part 4. The shuttle re-emerged from the artifact's portal, returning to Earth's orbit with a jolt that rattled everyone inside. The journey back had been tense and silent, each member of the team lost in their own thoughts. "Ethan." Carter stared out the window at the blue-green orb below, his mind racing with the weight of what they had discovered. Mia Lopez sat beside him, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, while Sarah Bennett fidgeted nervously with her scanner. None of them spoke, but the unspoken question hung heavy in the air. What would they do now? As the shuttle docked with the Aurora, Commander Lucas Drake greeted them with a mixture of relief and concern. "We've been monitoring your vitals," he said. "You all look like you've seen a ghost." Ethan stepped forward, his expression grim. "In a way, we have. Commander, we need to talk. Privately." Drake nodded, sensing the gravity of the situation. He led the team to the briefing room, where they recounted everything they had witnessed on the alien planet. They described the crumbling spires, the ominous carvings, and the Veilith's chilling confession about their immortality. When they finished, the room fell silent. Drake leaned back in his chair, his brow furrowed as he processed the information. So, let me get this straight, he said slowly. The Valith aren't immortal after all. They're just sustaining themselves artificially using rare minerals. Mia nodded. That's right. Based on what we saw, they're running out of options. That's why they came to Earth too. Exploit our resources, Sarah added. If we don't stop them, they'll destroy our ecosystems the same way they destroyed their own planet. Drake exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. This changes everything. But how do we prove it? We can't just walk into a meeting with world leaders and say, "Trust us, these aliens are lying." They'll want evidence. Ethan crossed his arms, his jaw tightening. Then we find evidence. There has to be something: data, samples. Anything that proves their claims are false. Mia pulled out her scanner, scrolling through the readings she had collected during their exploration. I've been analyzing the symbols we found on that planet. Some of them mention specific minerals, ones that match elements found in Earth's oceans. If we can trace those minerals back to the Veilith's technology, it might confirm their dependence on them. That's a start, Drake said. But we'll also need visual proof, something undeniable. Ethan's eyes lit up. What if we go back to the artifact? It's clearly connected to their network. Maybe we can access more information from there. Drake hesitated, weighing the risks. It's dangerous. If the Veilith catch us snooping around again, they'll know we're onto them. Still, it might be our best shot. With the decision made, the team prepared for another trip to the artifact. This time they approached it cautiously, wary of triggering any alarms. Ethan and Mia worked together to interface their equipment with the glowing panels, searching for hidden data streams. Sarah kept watch, ready to signal if anything seemed amiss. Hours passed without success. Just as frustration began to set in, Mia noticed something unusual, a faint pulse emanating from one of the panels. It was almost imperceptible, blending seamlessly with the artifact's natural energy fluctuations. She adjusted her scanner, isolating the signal and tracing its source. I think I've got something, she whispered, her voice tinged with excitement. There's a secondary system buried beneath the surface. It's encrypted, but I can crack it. Ethan moved closer, peering over her shoulder. Do it. Let's see what they're hiding. Mia worked quickly, her fingers flying across the keypad of her device. After several tense minutes, the panel shifted, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay a small, crystalline shard, glowing faintly with an eerie light. Ethan carefully picked it up, examining it closely. This looks familiar, he murmured. It's similar to the minerals mentioned in the carvings. Sarah leaned in for a closer look. Could this be one of the minerals they used to sustain themselves? It's possible, Mia replied. Let's take it back to the ship and run some tests. Back aboard the Aurora, the team analyzed the shard in detail. Their findings were startling. The mineral contained traces of isotopes, not naturally occurring on Earth, suggesting it had been harvested elsewhere and refined for use by the Valith. More importantly, its molecular structure matched patterns embedded in the energy signatures emitted by the artifact hand, potentially the Veilith themselves. This is it, Ethan said, holding up the shard. This is proof, if we can link this mineral to their biology, we can expose their deception. Mia nodded. And if we broadcast the images we recorded on that planet, people will see the truth for themselves. But before they could act, disaster struck. An alarm blared throughout the ship, signaling an unauthorized breach. Someone or something had boarded the Aurora. The team scrambled to secure their findings, stashing the shard and data drives in a locked compartment. Commander Drake issued orders over the intercom, instructing the crew to remain calm and prepare for potential confrontation. Moments later, the door to the lab slid open, revealing a figure none of them expected. Olivia Grant, a diplomat assigned to facilitate communication with the Veilith. Her face was pale, her hands trembling slightly as she stepped inside. What are you doing here? Ethan demanded, his voice sharp with suspicion. Olivia hesitated, then sighed deeply. Want it to come to this? She said quietly. But I can't let you interfere. Interfere with what? Mia asked, stepping forward. You knew about the Valeth's plan, didn't you? Olivia nodded reluctantly. Yes, and I agreed to help them. Humanity isn't ready to face such advanced beings, allowing the Valeth. To take what they need is the only way to ensure our survival. You're wrong, Ethan countered. If we give in now, we're signing our own death warrant. Their greed will consume us completely. Olivia shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. You don't understand. They'll destroy us if we resist. I'm trying to protect us. Before anyone could respond, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. A low hum filled the air, followed by the sound of footsteps approaching rapidly. Ethan grabbed a nearby tool, ready to defend himself. While Mia and Sarah huddled close to the locked compartment containing their evidence, the door burst open, revealing two Valeth warriors. Their translucent forms shimmered menacingly, and their eyes glowed with cold determination. One of them raised a hand, emitting a pulse of energy that sent Ethan sprawling to the floor. The other advanced toward the compartment, its movements deliberate and precise. Stop, Olivia shouted, stepping between the intruders and the team. They don't have the evidence yet. Give me a chance to retrieve it. The Valeth paused, exchanging silent glances. Finally, one of them nodded curtly, gesturing for Olivia to proceed. She turned to face the team, her expression torn between guilt and resolve. I'm sorry, she whispered, reaching for the compartment. This is for the greater good. But before she could unlock it, Sarah lunged forward, knocking the device from her grasp. Chaos erupted as Ethan regained his footing, swinging the tool at the nearest Valeth. The creature staggered but retaliated with a blast of energy that narrowly missed him. Mia ducked behind a console, frantically searching for a way to disable the invaders. Activate the containment field, Drake's voice barked over the intercom. Now, Ethan spotted the control panel and slammed his hand down on the activation switch. A shimmering barrier sprang up around the room, trapping the Valeth and Olivia inside. The aliens recoiled, their forms flickering as the field disrupted their energy. Get out of here, Drake ordered. We'll handle this. Take the evidence. And broadcast it immediately. Without hesitation, the team grabbed the shard and data drive, sprinting toward the communications deck. As they ran, Ethan glanced back at Olivia, who stood frozen within the containment field. Her betrayal etched plainly on her face. She thought she was helping, Mia said softly, her voice laced with sadness. She was wrong, Ethan replied firmly. Sometimes protecting humanity means standing up to threats, not bowing to them. When they reached the communications deck, the team wasted no time. Using the ship's powerful transmitters, they broadcast the evidence to every corner of Earth. Images of the dying alien planet, the Valeth's confessions, and the incriminating mineral shard flooded screens worldwide. Within minutes, public opinion shifted dramatically. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, demanding answers. World leaders convened emergency meetings, scrambling to reassess their alliances with the Valeth. On board the Aurora, the team watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of triumph and unease. They had exposed the truth, but the battle was far from over. The Valeth wouldn't give up easily, and humanity's newfound unity would soon be tested. **** End of. Part, so document, Sing Sing. Document, Part 6. The explosion of the underwater facility sent ripples far beyond the ocean floor. News of the sabotage spread quickly, reaching every corner of Earth, and even the ears of the Valeth themselves. The alien species, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves facing a formidable adversary, humanity. For the first time in centuries, they were forced to confront the reality that their carefully constructed facade of immortality was crumbling. On board the Aurora, the team celebrated their victory quietly but cautiously. Ethan Carter sat alone in the observation deck, staring out at the vast expanse of space. The weight of what they had accomplished and what still lay ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders. Beside him, Mia Lopez joined silently, her expression Thoughtful, as she gazed at the stars. "We've made them angry," Mia said finally, breaking the silence. "Do you think they'll come after us?" Ethan nodded slowly. "They won't let this go unanswered. This isn't just about resources anymore. It's about pride. They see us as a threat now." Mia sighed, leaning back in her chair. "And we are. We've shown them that we're not afraid to fight back." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from Commander Lucas Drake. "Everyone report to the briefing room immediately." His voice crackled over the intercom. "We have a situation." When the team gathered, Drake stood at the head of the table, his face pale with concern. On the central display screen was a live feed showing several Valeth ships approaching Earth's orbit. Their sleek, translucent hulls shimmered ominously against the blackness of space. "They're mobilizing," Drake explained. "It looks like they're preparing for a full-scale assault." Ethan clenched his fists. "How much time do we have?" "Enough," Drake replied grimly. "Their fleet will reach Earth within hours. Our defenses aren't ready for something like this." Sarah Bennett leaned forward, her eyes wide with fear. "What can we do? There's no way we can stop them if they attack directly." Ryan Kelly, the young engineer who had developed the EMP disruptor, spoke up hesitantly. "Maybe there's another way. If we target their command ship, the one leading the fleet, we might be able to disable their entire operation." Drake raised an eyebrow. "You mean take out their leader?" "Yes," Ryan continued. "From what we've seen, the Valeth operate in a strict hierarchy. Without their commander, the rest of the fleet might fall into disarray." Ethan considered the idea, weighing the risks. "It's risky, but it could work. If we manage to infiltrate their command ship and plant an explosive or use the EMP disruptor, we might buy Earth some time." Drake nodded reluctantly. "All right. But getting close to their flagship won't be easy. They'll have heavy security, and any wrong move could mean disaster." The plan was set. Ethan, Mia, Sarah, and Ryan volunteered to lead the infiltration mission, accompanied by a small team of highly trained pilots and engineers. Armed with the EMP disruptor and explosives, they boarded a stealth shuttle designed to evade detection. As they approached the Valeth fleet, the tension inside the shuttle was palpable. Everyone knew that failure wasn't an option, not when the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The Valeth command ship loomed ahead, its massive structure dwarfing the other vessels. Its surface glowed faintly, pulsating with energy that seemed almost alive. The shuttle slipped past the outer perimeter undetected, thanks to its advanced cloaking technology. Inside, the team prepared for the next phase of their mission. "Remember," Ethan whispered as they donned their suits, "stay quiet and stick to the plan. One mistake, and we're done." The team disembarked onto the command ship, moving cautiously through dimly lit corridors. The interior was eerily silent, save for the faint hum of machinery. As they navigated deeper into the ship, they encountered minimal resistance, a fact that unsettled Ethan. It felt too easy, as though they were walking straight into a trap. "This is too quiet," Mia murmured, echoing Ethan's thoughts. "Where is everyone?" Before Ethan could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, bathing the corridors in an ominous glow. The team froze, realizing they had been discovered. "They know we're here," Ryan said nervously. "What do we do?" "Keep moving," Ethan ordered. "We're close to the control center. If we can plant the explosives there, we can still pull this off." The group sprinted down the hallway, dodging blasts from Valeth warriors who appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Their movements were fluid and precise, making them difficult targets. Ethan fired back with his laser weapon, striking one warrior. In the chest, it staggered but didn't fall, confirming their earlier suspicions. The Valeth were incredibly resilient as they reached the entrance to the control center. Sarah planted a small charge on the door, blowing it open with a deafening blast. Inside, the room was filled with glowing panels and holographic displays, all controlled by a single figure, standing at the center, a towering Valeth commander. "You dare trespass here?" The commander boomed, its voice resonating in there. "Mines, you are nothing but insects beneath our feet." Ethan stepped forward, his weapon raised. Your reign ends today. Humanity won't bow to you. The commander laughed coldly. You think your actions matter? You are insignificant.
Before
Ethan could respond, Mia activated the EMP disruptor. A pulse of energy surged outward, disabling the control panels and plunging the room into darkness. The commander staggered, momentarily disoriented, giving the team the opening they needed. Plant the explosives, Ethan shouted. Ryan moved, quickly attaching charges to key points around the room. Meanwhile, Ethan kept the commander distracted, firing shots that barely grazed its translucent form. The creature retaliated with bursts of energy, forcing Ethan to dive behind cover. Hurry, Ethan yelled, dodging another blast. We're done. Ryan called back, setting the timer on the explosives. Let's go. The team retreated, as fast as they could, retracing their steps through the darkened corridors. Behind them, the countdown ticked away. When they reached the shuttle, Ethan glanced back one last time, ensuring no one was left behind. Then, with a deafening roar, the command ship erupted in a fiery explosion, sending shockwaves rippling through space. Back aboard the Aurora, the team watched as the Valeth fleet faltered. Their coordination disrupted without their leader. Ships scattered, retreating from Earth's orbit. For the moment, the immediate threat had been neutralized. Drake entered the observation deck, his expression a mix of relief and admiration. You did it? You saved Earth. Ethan shook his head. Not yet. This was just a temporary victory. The Valeth won't give up. They'll regroup and come back stronger. Mia nodded solemnly. But for now, we've bought ourselves time. Time to prepare. Time to unite. As the crew looked out at the stars, they knew the battle was far from over. Humanity had taken a stand, proving that it wouldn't back down in the face of overwhelming odds. But the war was only beginning, and the true test of their resolve was yet to come. End of Part 6 document.